All all right, so who's ready to talk some Thor?
I am.
Okay, well, at least Chad. Minus apparently is not ready to talk Thor. All right, so Thor is the latest movie. In what phase are we in now? What Marvel Universe phase?
I don't know, man. Is it 4?
Oh, and this is obviously there's going to be spoilers. I'll probably put that in the title anyway. But anyways, yeah. So if you don't like spoilers, then turn off the video. I don't care. I don't care anymore.
I can tell you this much: it is Thor Ragnarok is the 17th movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
God
Isn't that
damn.
insane? That's fucking insane.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And it started in what, 08?
Yeah. 08 with Iron Man.
So in less than a decade, they've released 17 movies.
It looks like we're in
Chad snorted cocaine, dude.
Sorry.
Oh wow.
He just snorted some cocaine on video. All right, go ahead and find.
So 17 films, 3 phases, 9 years, and they have made fucking $3.083 billion. Or I'm stupid. They have paid $3.083 billion to make these movies and have made $13.318 billion.
Damn.
So that's a $10 billion just straight up making money, income.
It's insane. So right now we're in phase 3, which started with Captain America Civil War in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
So Captain America, Doctor Strange, Guardians 2, Spider-Man Homecoming, and now Thor Ragnarok.
And what's next? Black Panther?
Next we got Black Panther, Avengers Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain Marvel, an untitled Avengers film, an untitled Spider-Man sequel, Guardians 3.
Wait, when's Infinity War?
2018, man, next year. Next year we're going to get Black Panther, Avengers Infinity War, and the Ant-Man sequel.
So we're only one film away, that being Black Panther, from Infinity War.
Yep.
So that shit should be pretty epic, right?
Black Panther looks legit to me, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was talking about Infinity War, but Black Panther looks good as well, I think. Chad, have you seen the Black Panther trailers?
Yeah, I have, actually. It looks pretty good.
I can't believe it's not coming out till 2018 because they've been advertising it like fucking crazy here lately.
Yeah. When is it? What month?
It comes out February 16th. February used to be like the throwaway month, but now it's like summer blockbusters are starting earlier and earlier every year. So now they're throwing them out in February.
I mean, when you got 2 movies coming out a year, man, you kind of got to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to compete against yourself.
That's true. Yeah. So Thor, it had the Hulk in it. Did you guys see that part?
Yeah. I don't think that they should have revealed that Hulk was in the movie.
I think it would have been a fucking really, really awesome moment if nobody knew. You know what I mean?
He should have been in he was in the first trailer. Like, if he wasn't in the trailers, wasn't in on the poster, like you're saying, like it would have blown your mind when he comes out.
Yeah, and to be in it that much afterward, you would just be like, oh man, what a fucking treat, dude. Came here for Thor, got some Hulk on the side, I'll take it. This is awesome. But whenever you know, like because they lead up to a big reveal of Hulk.
Yeah, like obviously when they wrote the movie, they didn't want you to know that the Hulk was it wasn't the writer's intention.
Right. And that's the point. I mean, and you can feel that as you're watching it. Like it's this huge buildup to what's this beast? What's this monster going to be? And blah, blah, blah. And we already knew the reveal before. So, that does kind of let the air out of the tires a little bit.
I saw another one like this. I'm not old enough to remember this happening, but there's like a whole list of trailers that ruin movies or whatever. Not that this really ruins the movie, but one of the most nefarious ones is T2. Like the big mystery at the beginning of the movie is the Terminator a bad guy or not? Like you think he's going to kill the boy, John Connor, but in the trailer, it reveals automatically that he's a good guy.
That's got to be such a difficult decision whenever you're making a movie like that you think, hey, if we let the audience know the twist, then maybe even more people will show up and we'll get paid more money, versus, hey, we keep it a mystery and it's really fucking cool for the people that do come and see it, and then maybe by word of mouth it'll get around. But it's got to be a hard decision as like being the filmmaker, putting input into that. Like, it's like Rosemary's Baby, right?
Yeah. Well, and that like Taika Waititi, or however he says his name, like he had no control over what Marvel was going to do. Marvel told him what they were going to do, or did Disney anyway.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, if you hear people talk, basically, if you're the director of a superhero movie, I mean, how much control do you really have? The studio basically is telling you, maybe even shot for shot, what they want. So are you really even a director at that point?
I think that's why Marvel and Disney have wanted like a pretty no-name director. I mean, the Taika guy, he's made some indie movies, but that's how they like him. Like the guy who made Spider-Man Homecoming had only made one other movie, and it was like a straight-to-DVD situation. They want people that they can control, is what it sounds like. Because the last time they had a huge director make a movie was Edgar Wright, that made like Shaun of the Dead and all those, and whatever, Baby Driver and stuff. And he dropped out before Ant-Man even came to fruition. Like he had trouble with him. And then Joss Whedon had trouble with him during Avengers too.
Well, supposedly everybody started hating Joss Whedon because he had said some shit like, or no, in the movie, Scarlett Johansson says, yeah, I can't have a kid, that I guess I'm some kind of monster or something like that. So she could relate her monster to the Hulk monster. Mm-hmm. But there was this entire SJW outcry of, oh, she's saying she's a monster because she can't have kids and blah. It's like, I don't know. It's just that weird shit. That people get upset about whenever there's really nothing to get upset about. Like Wonder Woman not having armpit hair. Did you hear about that?
What?
Like people got upset because she's from the Amazon, right, or whatever. She's this princess. So why does she have shaved armpits? Like people actually got angry about that. I don't know. It's weird. People look out for shit.
Watching it.
Yeah, I'm sure they don't even care about the character. Just like, hey, wait, this doesn't match, so I can make a big deal out of it on the internet. A
character that's like a goddess living on an island full of women that it never explains how more women get made if there's no men. Like it's a fucking fantasy movie.
Right, which I completely agree with you, except for that they made Wonder Woman out of clay, and that's specifically mentioned.
But not everyone on the island got made out of clay, right?
Yeah, maybe they lay eggs. You don't know, dude. Stop asking so many questions.
Do they lay eggs? I'd like to see that.
I'll get you a video. But yeah, so okay, so what do you think about, like, Chad had mentioned this basically right after he's seen it. He just said that it was funnier than basically he expected it to be. What did you think, Finest?
It's definitely a comedy, more so than an action movie or superhero movie. And so much of it hinges on just like conversations and dialogue.
Yeah,
like how the characters treat each other. It had a real Guardians feel to me. Like they're definitely taking a note out of that book and saying, hey, let's not take this too seriously. And I think that's one of the problems with Thor, is that he's a very serious character, like in this weird. I mean, he's a god or whatever. I mean, he's. Again, let me put it this way: he's never been one of my favorite characters, and I wasn't a big fan of the first two movies.
I would probably agree with that, as both of those things. Like, Thor was always kind of there whenever you're growing up, and I was into comics. I like someone who I was like, oh man, got to go get the new issue of Thor, or man, I got to pick up these specific issues because there's a really good Thor story. Like that was just, it never was anything. And I thought the first two movies were fine or whatever. Like nothing to write home about, and definitely not near some of the best in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But you know, they were fine movies. But this one definitely, and I was saying this to Chad like the other day whenever we were talking about it, just that like since Guardians came out and that worked so well and made him so much money and people love that movie so much, it does seem like the comedy is like ramping up in the other Marvel movies. Like Spider-Man, that had a lot of, you know, comedic parts. Maybe not as much as Thor, but
Spider-Man's justified though. Like I'm glad that they finally threw comedy into Spider-Man. Like I think that's something that was sorely missing from the Raimi versions of the movies. Like Spider-Man's funny. Like he's mouthing the people he's fighting, and
he did that in those movies. But I don't know if it's Toby or I don't know if it was the dialogue itself. But it came off as kind of hokey versus like the cool, sarcastic kid that he's supposed to be as Spider-Man. So I would probably agree with that.
Right, like he becomes a different person when he puts the costume on. Like goes from this nerd to this kind of badass in his mind or whatever.
Right. He's just got more confidence because he's not a nerd.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the story of Spider-Man.
It's a story of confidence. It was never about being a superhero.
I think besides the comedy, what really makes this work is that it's not a Thor movie. That I think that the writers figured out that in order to make Thor interesting, it's kind of like what you said, like, I really enjoyed Thor as just the Avengers Superman or whatever, but I don't really want to read a Thor story by himself. So you throw in the Hulk and like that rock guy, Korg or whatever. You've got his brother, Loki. You've got that Valkyrie lady. I mean, you team up with a bunch of other weirdos, and it's so much better.
Okay, like basically all the Avengers movies now, at least since Civil War, which there's only been a few if you count Spider-Man, but they all have the ensemble thing going on, and not just where they sneak in at the end and it's, you know, Robert Downey Jr. saying, "Hey, I think you belong on my team," or, you know, whatever. Like now throughout the entire movie, it's at least two or more heroes, which makes for better movies. I mean, it's been awesome so far. And like, you know, you still have the ones like that just come out sort of like Ant-Man and, you know, Black Panther is going to be the same way. But eventually I feel like it's going to be the same thing. They just mix and match, see what good combinations they can keep coming out with and spit it out that way. I honestly don't know how everybody's going to get time in Infinity War. Like, you've got so many heroes. How is this possible?
I think they're going to kill a lot of people off to make way for new actors and new characters.
Yeah, but think of all the shit that you named after Infinity War. You know Ant-Man's not going to die. You know what I mean? Like, all the characters that they got movies planned for, that's, spoiler alert, not going to die.
Yeah, you know the Guardians aren't going to die.
Is the original comic where, I don't know if it's the Infinity Wars, but the ones where they fight Thanos when he has all the gems or whatever, almost all the Marvel characters die, right? But I can't imagine them doing this in the movie itself. Like, because unless I'm not remembering right, but that comic where all the superheroes team up and fight Thanos, that may not be the Infinity War, but there is a series and almost all of them end up dying, right? Or am I mistaken?
I think so, and then they use one of the, because, you know, the glove has all those stones or whatever.
Yeah.
I think they use one of the stones to warp reality and bring people back to life or something.
Apparently, I don't know, my wife was reading about all this Infinity Stones. Apparently, all these movies there was some of them that had the Infinity Stones in there, right?
Yeah, building up to this.
Yeah. I guess I was just behind the loop here. It's not nothing like esoteric knowledge here, but I was like...
Yeah, one stone is in that Tesseract cube from Captain America, the first one. And then one stone is in Vision's head that made him into Vision. And then one stone was in Loki's cane, right?
Yeah, that was the other one.
I'm trying to think. The one stone's from the first Guardians movie that they used to kill the bad guy in the end.
And then there was one in this past Thor movie too, but they just walked past it.
Yeah.
Oh, so it was on it? Because I think that the rumor was that what is his name, Heinlein or whatever, was going to have it because it was like the seeing eye or the one that allows you to see the dead or something, and he can see everybody. But then in the movie, they say something to him, asking about somebody, but they were dead, and he said he couldn't see them. So people were saying, well, we don't think he has a stone because he's supposed to be able to see the dead as well.
Or that person's not dead.
Yeah. But he's supposed to be, but he sees all people regularly, right? So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just...
Yeah, I really don't know. But wasn't it like Loki that walked by it? And I remember like he looks at it and like says something about it, right, in the movie? Like if he had time, he wanted to grab it or something, but like he was rushing.
Well, he wants to grab the cube, the Tesseract. But then later the villain Hela walks into the treasure thing and knocks over the Infinity Gauntlet and calls it a fake.
Hela. What do you think about that name?
I thought she was cool, but I think that because I like the way that she was kind of over the top villainy, like old school villain.
Mm-hmm.
But it did point out the same problem that every fucking Marvel movie has. The villain is rarely that cool. Like they build him up, and then the good guys usually dispatch them very easily at the end.
So you're saying you want somebody who's basically cool enough that you would enjoy it if they became a good guy or started helping the good guys?
Or cool enough that they don't just kill them off at the end of the movie. Like that happens in almost every Marvel movie. The bad guy is done at the end. Except for Loki.
Spider-Man.
He almost died.
He came close, but he didn't.
Well, I think about Iron Man 1, he fights another guy in an Iron Man suit and kills him. Iron Man 2, he fights another guy in an almost Iron Man suit with whips, and it kills him or whatever. And then the third Iron Man, he fights people that are liquid metal guys. Actually,
you don't think that these people deserve to die? Is that what you're saying?
No, they should die, but it's the same problem as like Tim Burton's Batman. Like, why'd you kill off Joker in the first movie?
Well, not everybody can keep coming back, but I mean, I understand what you're saying because, in comic book world, everybody gets thrown in jail and then somehow is out a couple of months later. You know what I mean? They've done this horrendous rampage, got caught by Spider-Man or whoever, tied up, sent with the cops, go to jail, and then they're out again. And they could be one of the worst villains ever, but for story purposes, they choose not to kill them, which makes sense because then you can do more stories with them. But I don't know if they just believe that everybody that's watching movie needs more finality where they just know, like, okay, well, that guy's gone. I'm done with that. This was a movie. I could watch this without knowing anything else, and it still be entertaining because they finished this guy. I don't know.
That was another good thing about this movie, Ragnarok. Was it? Yeah, I mean, at the end, it does build up to Infinity War. There's like the big reveal or whatever at the end, but you could still just watch this movie by itself and not really see any of the other films.
And I think that that's pretty important because other than, something like Infinity War, which everything has been leading up to, if you don't make it to where like the casual person can enjoy, they know that they can go to and enjoy a Marvel movie, whether or not they've seen a bunch of other shit, because not everybody wants to watch 17 fucking movies to go see a movie. You know what I mean? They just want to be able to go and enjoy a movie, and you can't blame them for that. So I think it's good to, set up stuff that happens only in that movie, but also if it leads into the other movies, that just makes it that much better, really, I guess. I don't know. What do you think? You.
Let's hear from Chad.
Hear from me?
Yeah, let's hear from you.
Yep, we're here for you.
I mean, I think you pretty much covered all of it.
So here's a specific question for Chad. You've not seen all the Marvel movies, right?
No.
So do you think that affected the way you watch this movie?
Did you have enough of a gist that you could still enjoy it? Is that
well?
fair?
I mean, I knew enough about it before from comic books growing up. However, if you could go and watch this, and you wouldn't need to know really, besides the fact that Loki was Thor's brother.
Which they hit that on the head pretty clearly.
The thing with the Hulk would be kind of confusing, but I don't think it really matters to anyone because they could be like, well, how did Hulk get in this random, world or whatever? I could see that as being confusing, but it really doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, because honestly, it's kind of confusing even if you have seen the movies, because they sort of say, oh, he just ended up here, but I don't know.
Yeah, he flew off in a jet at the end of the movie.
Yeah, I could have used maybe a flashback. I don't know if that would have been appropriate or what, but I would have liked to, kind of seen exactly what happened. But I guess they explained it enough.
I think they tried to cover that a little bit with the audio over the Quinjet's system or whatever.
True.
But I couldn't remember what had happened at the end of Age of Ultron. I mean, we've had several movies without the Hulk.
Yeah. And, not only has there been movies, but also there's so much time in between each movie, man. This ain't some week-to-week shit. I don't completely catch up every time before I go to the theater. You know what I mean? And maybe I should have watched the first 2 Thors. But even if you did, there's still shit you're missing. So I guess that's kind of what it's about. But
the only inside joke that you would be getting, the 2 things that you would be getting is Loki fake dying and Thor dating Natalie Portman. And
right.
You don't really need to know that because they make jokes about her breaking up with him and him breaking up with her or whatever. Yeah. So, you really don't need to know that.
It's nothing that really needs explained any more than they explain it in the movie. So, yeah, I'd agree on that.
And speaking of that explanation, that was one of the funniest scenes in the movie. Huge spoiler alert. Whatever, he was putting on the plane, it was Matt Damon and in real life Thor's brother and Sam Neill from Jurassic Park. That was hilarious.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
Yeah.
But that Thor, the guy that was playing Thor in that play, really is his brother. He's in Westworld.
Yeah, there's a couple of Hemsworths.
Right? There's like three of them. There's a younger one too.
3?
Yeah, there's an older one that's not really that famous. He's only been in a couple things. Then there's Chris, and then was the other one's like Luke or Liam or something.
Liam, yeah, I think he was in Hunger Games because we were looking him up the other day because I was trying to tell Elena that dude had a brother.
He's the one. He was in that stupid. It was either the first or second Expendables, and he's in it, and it's like he has this dumb story about his dog. Like they're trying to humanize him. It's like, there's this dog in this village, and it got killed in a gunfire.
That sounds horrible. I watched Expendables 1, and it was so underwhelming. Like I never wanted to see the other ones. Like it was kind of cool to see all those older action heroes back together and shit, but like bad story. I don't know. Stone Cold. I like Stone Cold Steve Austin. He was in it, but I don't know. Just not.
I think I've seen up to the second one because that's the one that has like Jean-Claude Van Damme and a very brief appearance by Chuck Norris.
Fair enough. I don't know. Anyway, so what do you think about Stan Lee's cameo in this Thor?
I didn't get why he was cutting Thor's hair. Like, what was the point of that?
And why did people say it was a good haircut whenever it obviously was a fucked up haircut? Like, it's not just me, right? Like that haircut was fucked up, right?
I thought it was all right.
Or not. I mean, there was some weird cuts going on throughout. Like, unless there was some special cool style that I don't know about.
I want to know how you cut hair with that thing that Stan Lee was holding.
You got to tweet him,
and not just murder someone.
The real question is why is his hair cut, but then getting beat to a pulp by a Hulk doesn't really affect anything on his body, right? Like
That's a good point.
like his hair's vulnerable, but he's not.
Well, that's kind of like old school Superman. His hair has like the strength of steel or something ridiculous. I don't know if they still have.
I recall a panel of somebody breaking their scissors on his hair.
Oh, and that's another thing. So what my question was, like, this guy is a god, right? But yet they were able to shove something in his neck to like zap him. Like, so it's like there's aliens that have more technology than gods, or like what like.
Well, I think the way Marvel and Disney have explained it is he's not really a god. They're like a race of aliens.
Oh,
yeah, they definitely fucked with the Thor, and they don't really mention it at all anymore. That they're not the real gods or whatever. But I remember that being a big deal when the first Thor came out, because people were like, so in the comics they're actually the gods, but in this they're like just confused aliens or what? I don't know.
I don't know if any of you have read Planet Hulk, but the controlling devices come straight from that. Like,
I see.
The Hulk is wearing them, and the main champion when Hulk gets there is Silver Surfer, but Marvel doesn't have the rights to Silver Surfer, so they couldn't put him in the movie.
I don't care. I'd much rather have seen Hulk than Silver Surfer.
You don't like Silver Surfer, bro?
He's so boring, bro. He has like no personality. He's just like the Silver Surfer.
What's the difference between Silver Surfer and freaking Iceman?
Silver
Surfer goes through space and galaxies.
He has like the power cosmic. He's not shooting ice out. It's like some kind of waves or something.
He might as well be. Wouldn't he like the Thanos' like arch enemy? Or him and like Thanos battled it out all the time, didn't they?
He's Thanos' herald. He joined up with so the deal with Thanos is that he eats planets, right? So Silver Surfer agrees to be his herald, like his bitch boy, if he will not eat his planet.
What a bitch!
He's basically Thanos' slave. So
he's a bad guy.
Whatever he wants. Yeah, he's a bad guy. So when he first comes to Earth, he first appeared in Fantastic Four. When he first comes to Earth, they fight him, and he eventually tells them, "Hey, I'm working for this guy," and finds a way to beat Galactus.
And then he turns good.
Yeah.
And does what?
He gets his freedom somehow, and then Galactus has these other heralds.
Well, Aladdin wished him free, so that's how he gets his freedom. Number one, we all know that story. So he has other little bitches that Silver Surfer has to fight. That's his story.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
Silver Surfer sucks, dude. Sorry.
There's a really sweet storyline called Annihilation, where like Silver Surfer teams up with the Guardians, and he's like their friend for a while.
The current Guardians or the old Guardians?
The current ones.
That might be cool, but actually, I hope I never see Silver Surfer with the Guardians, because that sounds boring as fuck.
Because at some point in the real comics, Guardians, Peter Quill's dad's not Ego the Planet. His dad's like some king of a planet, so he's like space royalty.
Is his dad still a douche though?
Yeah, his dad's still a douche.
It sounds like Eric really doesn't like Silver Surfer. I think we need to dig into this.
I mean, I don't actively dislike him, but I mean, just as far as like a comic book character goes, he's pretty lame, dude. Like, there's so many much cooler characters.
There's some really good stories, and there's one that is like all painted.
A Silver Surfer apologist, Finest Massey.
It's by Stan Lee, and it's just real sad. It's like him contemplating life and stuff. It's a real deep book.
You know what? I could be wrong. Hold on, let me look at it. But I think there was like a Super Nintendo game, The Avengers. And for some random ass reason, the characters that you get to choose from was Iron Man, Captain America, Hawkeye, and Silver Surfer.
Are you sure?
Like, why did they add? Yeah, look up Avengers SNES game. It was a side scroller. And
I remember
there's
the game kind of, but
there's a regular Nintendo Silver Surfer game, and it's hard as balls.
Oh yeah, that's like famous.
This game was
hard,
hard.
though. Captain America and the Avengers. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, and I actually went down to my my grandma's the other day, and she still has my Super Nintendo and has this game.
Are you kidding?
And I got further now that I'm like 32 than I ever got when I was younger, because this game was like stupidly wasn't really like difficult, but it was.
You didn't
just
bring it
like,
home with you?
I thought about seeing if my grandma will give me back, because I still have that Super Nintendo, and then it has Mario Paint.
Oh shit, son, with the mouse and everything?
Yeah, it has, and it's still, the mouse still works.
Hell yeah!
Captain America and the Avengers, the Lost Vikings, and like Breath of Fire, and then like Charles Barkley basketball or something like that.
Dude, it's not Silver Surfer, it's Vision.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense then.
Still, of all the characters they could have picked, they fucking put Vision.
He's like a main Avenger.
There are cooler. You put Beast is a better Avenger than fucking Vision, dude. Or more interesting. Beast, dude. I'm talking about legit blue man group. Beast.
Well, you know what I think they had to do is they needed the characters that could either shoot something or throw something, because that was like the main thing on there, was like being able to throw shit.
Who'd you play as?
Well, who did I think I would end up playing Iron Man, but every time you die, you can choose somebody else. But the game was just stupid in the sense of like you get hit one time by like some random character and you lost like 25 health and you got like 100. It was just something stupid like that.
Maybe I should play that sometime.
You should. It's actually not a fun game now that, or not a bad game now that
It's actually not a fun game.
I think you might have had it right the first time.
It's not a terrible game now that, you know, years later, but I literally, like, the first time I played, I got further than I had ever got in the stupid game.
That's pretty amazing. Your hand-eye coordination must have gone up.
Games were definitely harder back then.
Yeah, and it was one. Yeah. They're harder because like they don't like I think they like made the games where they knew that you were going to get hit at certain points and there's nothing you could do about it. It was like,
well, sometimes they make it so hard. It's like you're almost making it hard enough that it should be an arcade game. So I want to keep pumping quarters in, but instead I get free lives. But it's still just hard as piss. You know, I just want to keep going through and fucking, you know, it doesn't have to be super easy, but I want to be able to get through it without, you know, ripping my goddamn hair out. But
it's amazing.
I guess that's part of gaming.
It's amazing how hard they were, and to think about like I had Back to the Future on my regular Nintendo.
God, bro.
And you get to a level where it's like just impossible. You're throwing these shakes at bullies as they come into the cafe, and your character goes up and down like you know, north and south or whatever, and they're coming at different angles, and you can't properly judge where your character is matched up with theirs. And they start going faster and faster and faster. And I beat that like one time and then immediately died after that. But I know that as a kid, I played that for months and months. Like now today, if there was a game that I couldn't beat, I can't even think of an example. Something Blood. It was made by the Dark Souls people. That's on
Bloodborne.
Bloodborne. I played that for like 3 hours and dying and having to restart, and I was just like, no, I'm not. You know, I'm done with this. I'm going to play something different.
That's very true. And I don't know if it's true for today's kids, but whenever we were kids, you had a lot more perseverance as far as games go. And I think that's because we didn't, you know, if our, you know, mom was like, hey, let's go to the video store, rent you a game, you get it for 5 days, it'd be like, fuck yeah, first of all. Second of all, you take that shit home and you don't got a cell phone. You don't got internet. You know what I mean? You went there and you were playing your game, and if you were shitty at it, so what? You better keep fucking trying and get better because that's your weekend, at least, you know, and plus a couple days. So
they're not taking that bitch back.
we just didn't have so much to choose from. So, you know, if you were lucky enough to get Rock and Roll Racing and, you know, play that over the weekend, you were having a pretty good fucking weekend. That's all I'm saying. But I don't know about Captain America and the Avengers. I didn't play that as a kid.
You're missing. You have to do a live, whatever the hell it's called, a stream of it.
Yeah, so confusing. What's that called?
Actually, you should play that because there's when we're talking about the game Pixel City Bros and we're talking about the cutscenes, they have a like I kind of envisioning the cutscene like that as well.
You know what? I'll play it for that reason only. If it's not one of the first cutscenes, I probably won't make it.
Chad is completely caught up on his internet terms. For someone who works on computers for a living and works with the internet every day, doesn't know streaming.
Is that one of those streams that are going out as you? I don't understand it.
It's just like earlier. He's like, wherever you post this on Facebook or like YouTube wasn't his go-to. Like Facebook or Twitter. I don't know.
I don't use Facebook. I don't know anything about it. Just do what you do, man. I'm here for you.